Look, I think when you really love someone, then you sacrifice your own happiness for theirs. And I think that was a really cool example of...
The accusations started flying, with claims that reputations were damaged and narratives were being carefully shaped behind the scenes. When it comes to the situation between Justin Baldoni and Blake Lively, many believe it has become less about truth and more about public perception or high-stakes PR battle playing out in real time. Questions linger about what really happened, and whether the controversy reflects deeper issues or simply a clash of influence and image. Meanwhile, Blake Lively's reputation appears to be unraveling in a way few could have predicted. The career she carefully built over the years, along with her polished public persona and loyal fan base, now seems increasingly fragile. Once celebrated as the breakout star of Gossip Girl and praised for her stylish performance in A Simple Favor, she embodied a certain Hollywood sophistication. Today, however, she finds herself at the center of relentless scrutiny, where every move is analyzed, every statement dissected, and every professional alliance questioned. Online commentators and independent bloggers claim they've been piecing together tips and behind-the-scenes information, fueling even more speculation. The narrative has shifted rapidly, and public opinion seems divided. What once looked like an untouchable position in the industry now feels uncertain. Some critics argue that Blake miscalculated, believing industry support would automatically fall in her favor. Instead, the controversy involving Justin Baldoni has complicated that assumption. What may have been intended as a strategic move has, in the eyes of many observers, transformed into a backlash that caught her off guard. Whether this moment marks a temporary setback or a lasting turning point in her career remains to be seen, but one thing is clear. The spotlight has never felt harsher. There were even awkward, offbeat moments in interviews that people clipped and replayed online, turning small comments into viral talking points. What might once have been brushed off as quirky suddenly became ammunition in a much larger narrative. Blake believed the public would rally behind her without hesitation, but Justin Baldoni didn't stay silent. He responded forcefully, and the situation escalated fast. Now the controversy has grown into something far bigger than a simple disagreement, reportedly involving a staggering $400 million lawsuit, intense media scrutiny, and serious questions about long-term career impact. When news of the lawsuit broke, the public reaction was immediate and measurable. Blake reportedly lost hundreds of thousands of social media followers almost overnight, while Justin's numbers surged. In today's digital age, that kind of swing is often seen as a real-time indicator of shifting public opinion. Support that once seemed solid suddenly looked uncertain. Before the legal clash, many fans were firmly on her side, but as more claims, counterclaims, and behind-the-scenes rumors surfaced, sentiment appeared to shift. Industry chatter began focusing not just on the legal battle, but on alleged on-set tension and creative disagreements. Though she wasn't officially in a leadership role, reports suggested she may have pushed for significant creative influence. Questions about who held rights to the original source material and who had authority over major decisions only added more complexity to the narrative. In Hollywood, perception can be just as powerful as reality. When a high-profile star is involved, colleagues may hesitate to challenge decisions, especially if that star has strong industry connections, whether the reports are fully accurate or partly exaggerated. The impression that influence was being asserted behind the scenes has fueled debate. Now, that same influence is being re-examined under a much harsher spotlight. What once looked like confidence and authority is, to some critics, beginning to resemble overreach. The story is no longer unfolding in whispers, it's happening publicly, with strong opinions forming on both sides. Each new development adds pressure, and every past decision is being revisited through a different lens. In an industry where image shapes opportunity, that kind of narrative shift can have serious consequences. What used to be seen as power and star leverage is now, in the eyes of some observers, being reframed as a potential liability. Whether this chapter becomes a temporary setback or a defining turning point remains uncertain. But one thing is clear: the balance of perception has undeniably changed. Blake Lively's legal team has made it clear that they intend to fight the accusations in court and vigorously defend her position. What started as celebrity drama has evolved into a serious legal confrontation. An online discussion suggests the tide of public opinion may not be favoring her at the moment. At one time she appeared to have strong industry backing, but now even some longtime colleagues seem noticeably quiet. Her It Ends With Us co-star Jenny Slate has reportedly been pulled into the broader controversy, adding to the sense that the ripple effects are expanding throughout her professional circle. The situation intensified further when a major entertainment publication released a February 22nd cover featuring Blake holding a slingshot aimed toward Justin Baldoni. Many readers interpreted the imagery as symbolic and provocative, sparking heated debate online. Critics argued the visual framed her as the aggressor, while supporters felt it sensationalized an already complex legal dispute. Rather than calming tensions, the cover seemed to deepen the divide, with social media users dissecting every detail and forming strong opinions. based largely on perception rather than confirmed facts. The media scrutiny didn't stop there. Coverage from outlets such as the New York Times added another layer to the conversation. Blake reportedly pushed back against certain portrayals, expressing frustration and suggesting that aspects of the reporting felt unfair or biased. From her perspective, the narrative may have seemed distorted. However, critics online argued that once a dispute becomes this public, intense media commentary is inevitable. Some felt her response amplified the controversy instead of diffusing it, complicating matters further. The feature reportedly focused significantly on Justin's faith and how it shapes his work ethic and on-set decisions. Yet many observers felt that the cover imagery and timing overshadowed that deeper angle, redirecting attention back to the conflict itself. As a result, online discussion split into two camps, one debating media framing and fairness, the other continuing to argue over who bears responsibility in the larger dispute. At this stage, public opinion appears driven as much by emotion and loyalty as by verified details. Each statement, article, or visual element adds new momentum to the narrative. Instead of fading, the conversation keeps reigniting. Some observers believe that responding publicly has made the scrutiny more intense, while others argue she has every right to defend herself. As the legal battle moves forward, the pressure surrounding both Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni shows little sign of easing, and the spotlight remains firmly fixed on how this will ultimately unfold. Online conversations have also focused on reported revisions to legal filings, with critics questioning the strategy while supporters point out that updating or amending documents is a normal part of an evolving court case. On the opposing side, Justin Baldoni's attorney, Brian Friedman, has made firm public statements indicating they plan to challenge the claims aggressively. Those comments have reinforced the perception that this dispute is far from resolution. Whether that confidence reflects a strong legal position or simply assertive advocacy is something only the court process will ultimately clarify. The controversy has also drawn additional high-profile names into the conversation, including Ryan Reynolds. A joke he made during a public appearance was interpreted in very different ways. Some saw it as an attempt to ease tension, while others felt the timing was inappropriate given the seriousness of the allegations. The mixed reaction highlights how sensitive the situation has become, where even light-hearted remarks are closely scrutinized. Speculation has extended to other celebrity friendships as well, including Taylor Swift. Online rumors suggest distancing among certain members of Blake's circle, though much of that discussion remains unverified and driven by interpretation rather than confirmed statements. At this stage, the narrative unfolding publicly feels like a battle over perception running parallel to a private legal process. More serious allegations circulating online claim that Blake and Ryan used their influence during the production of It Ends With Us to assert significant creative control. However, these claims remain disputed and largely based on anonymous sources and commentary rather than court findings. Supporters argue that high-profile actors often play active roles in shaping projects, while critics frame it as potential overreach. Until verified information emerges through formal proceedings, much of what is circulating consists of speculation, opinion, and media framing. The legal system, not social media, will determine the outcome. For now, the situation remains highly charged, with reputations, professional relationships, and public perception all intertwined in a complex and still developing story. There have been dramatic claims circulating online, including rumors that Blake Lively was sidelined during a premiere while others took the spotlight. However, many of these stories remain unverified and appear to be fueled more by speculation than confirmed reporting. Social media has amplified the narrative, with some critics going as far as labeling her presence in projects as toxic, while supporters argue that the portrayal is exaggerated and unfair. What's clear is that perception in Hollywood can shift quickly. Directors, producers, and studios often pay close attention to public controversies, especially when legal disputes are involved. Allegations suggesting power struggles or attempts to exert creative control have added to the tension surrounding the situation. At the same time, it's important to note that high-profile actors frequently have significant input in their projects, and not every behind-the-scenes disagreement signals wrongdoing. The broader controversy involving Justin Baldoni continues to unfold, and each new rumor, leak, or courtroom development adds another layer of complexity. Online commentary tends to frame the situation in dramatic terms, describing it as a career-defining downfall. But legal matters of this scale are rarely resolved in the court of public opinion. For now, much of what's circulating remains a mix of opinion, emotion, and media framing rather than verified fact. Hollywood is watching, fans are watching, and the narrative continues to evolve. Whether this moment becomes a lasting setback or simply another turbulent chapter will ultimately depend on what emerges through official legal proceedings rather than online speculation.